Guess what? It is going to be happening over the next 6 weeks with the introduction of the eRacr Roval Racing Series. Glad to have you with us. I'm Blake McCandless. That's Sean Butler. That's Joshua Mendoza. And we're ready to get this thing kicked off. And Sean, I'll start with you. Something that's going to be a little bit different and unique over these next couple of weeks to run at a lot of tracks that a lot of these drivers just aren't going to be very familiar with.
Might be a big learning curve for these guys as well. I know we kind of had the chance to get a few laps in at this track we're at tonight at Texas and their Roval. And I got to say, I was pleasantly surprised. I've never ran this track before in my iRacing career, I guess. And it's a good time. A lot of tricky parts of it. These guys are going to be tested both, on the oval side and the road side. But whoever can put it together the best is going to come out on top in each one of these classes. We'll get into in a second. But I'm excited. It's going to be something different. And I think everyone's going to like watching.
I think the same, Sean. And Josh, I'll go ahead and kick it over to you as well. This is an initiative that you and I kind of put together. This was a long time in the making, finding these racetracks, kind of what are almost lost speedways, if we can even say it that way, in the iRacing service of all these road courses that, frankly, are just unfamiliar to these drivers.
Yeah, it really is. These are a bunch of Roval series or Roval tracks that have been on the iRacing service for years now, and really have no usage on them. And it all kind of started around the time where they were doing the Daytona Road Course. And we thought, what would be a really cool all-star race? And we came up with the idea, every single class of the NASCARs on track all at once. So the Cup, the Xfinity, the trucks all racing at the same time, all the best of the best. And then that kind of led to this idea of just multi-class racing on these Roval courses.
It led to the idea. It's something that I think you guys are going to really love out there from your viewers. So we'll go ahead and take you on a little bit of a walkthrough as we look over this Texas Motor Speedway. You see atop of it, you can see the rubber almost etched into this unique style of this road course. Very hot temperatures, 91 degrees, 127 on the track. Should make things very slick, very slippery for these drivers that'll be running on a very, I don't want to call it ancient, Sean, but I guess in terms of we've been to this Texas, but also this is one of the only versions that has the road course that we'll be seeing tonight.
Absolutely. And so this is a lot of the drivers kind of prefer this old style layout. I for one, kind of miss it myself, but it's going to be a lot different than the new one. Of course, NASCAR turns 1 and 2 there you see on the right side of your screen. Those are a lot bumpier, of course, than the new configuration now. So a lot of these guys, look for these guys to be right along the white line in that corner, and then they have to wash up. But the big factor for this race, especially the beginning, Blake, is going to be turn 3. So you get off a NASCAR turn 2 over there, and you got to jam on the brakes to make the turn into the infield road course. It is going to be calamity corner right there, especially on the first lap. I'm kind of excited because I don't have to drive through it. I get to watch it, but it's definitely going to be a tale of who can get through the infield the best, as we saw before in testing. And it's going to be very fun to watch for sure.
Oh, no doubt about it. And we'll go ahead and kind of catch you up to speed that these drivers have been at work for this series for about a week already. 1 week ago at the Charlotte Roval, which is, I guess, a road course or a Roval, if you will call it, that everybody's very familiar with. We had qualifying split into 2 days and narrowed it down to this list of drivers that are competing tonight. Some drivers weren't able to make it out tonight, but on that list of qualifiers, it makes up our field tonight. Perhaps the most important thing to mention about what we're going to be seeing tonight, multi-class racing. We have the NASCAR Cup Series cars piloted by some of the best oval and road course drivers in iRacing. We have the NASCAR Xfinity Series machines that will also be rolling along. They are in a different class and have a different skill of drivers, your intermediate class, if you will. And then we have the NASCAR Gander RV and Outdoors, or I guess it's Camping World. I can't call it that anymore. Truck Series drivers that will be a class behind. Each class will be garnering their own points, F1 style. So the winner of each class, 25, then down to 18. And, of course, you can follow along if you know Formula One. All the way down to 10th place gets 1 point, and 11th on back, no points. But separate class racing, this is something, Sean, that I think a lot of people are looking forward to. I know I read all the time on social media with all the experiments that have been done in NASCAR over the last couple of years. Could we do multi-class racing and get all these vehicles on the same track? We're about to see it play out, and with you'd be surprised in how similar these cars are, despite being different vehicles. The times they put up, they're not that far off.
Absolutely. And the testing races we did, I should say, we were doing yesterday. The Cup cars, of course, had a very surprising advantage. Josh was fortunate enough to pilot one of those cars, and he was kind of putting a lot of time on the field. I was kind of jealous of him. But look for these guys in the Xfinity cars and the trucks to be closer than you might think. But like I was saying before, as long as you're getting to the infield portion of the track, that is the big part. And we'll see a lot of these cars that might be a little bit slower on the oval portion make up a lot of time in the infield. And Blake, that, as you said, that's what makes the multi-class racing so exciting. You never know what you're going to get, especially in this, and it's only the first race of the season.
It's going to be fantastic, and we've seen this split already. Looking down our grid that we'll show you in just a couple of moments, the differences in times for these drivers, particularly in the Xfinity cars and in the truck. We'll refer to them as our B and our C class. Now, remember, coming in, we have had the split of drivers who are more experienced, have a higher I rating. They will be in the NASCAR Cup Series cars. The intermediate class will be the Xfinity cars, and then our beginners or drivers that are a little more new to iRacing is a good way to put it. They will be in our Truck Series vehicles tonight. So again, each driver will be in their own class. So despite the separation in times, we will see everybody competing for their own prizes tonight. At the front of the field, we are splitting off of those classes. So we will start with all our Cup Series cars at the front. We'll have the Xfinity cars start behind them, and we'll have the trucks pilot up the rear of the field for what will be a timed race. No specific amount of laps. 60 minutes is all these drivers will have to prove everything. And Sean, no cautions. We'll actually have a halfway caution at that. But a lot of proving grounds for these drivers, a lot of time, a 60-minute race with how these stock cars that weren't built to race on this track. I don't know if any cars were built to race on this track because we've hardly seen it in the real or virtual world, but it will be a great challenge for these competitors.
Yeah, I mean, I think the RVs and the cars parking in the infield have more time on this track than these cars do, so it's going to be great to watch these guys maneuver through. But Blake, I think it's time to go. We're getting ready to go to green here.
We are Michael Gonzalez, Matt Busa, your top two in the Cup Series class. You had Matt Taylor, Brian Sabelski in the Xfinity class. And then, of course, in the trucks, you had Brandon Panito and Dustin Ping, who are the fastest two in class. So we are getting the eRacr Roval Racing Series underway. Green flag is out, and we'll talk you through this unique configuration that you may not know, Sean. This is what we're going to have to watch. Turn 3. Hard braking zone. What's going to happen? I see some contact. I see one car spinning. It's Chris Henyon.
Chris Henyon in the 63 got a little bit of help from James D. Gibson off of turn number 2. That's the only incident I'm seeing, though, and this was the corner I was talking about, Blake, where everyone has to get through cleanly and only one incident, so everyone looks like they're rolling pretty well. Now, here's the toughest part through the infield, as they were 3 wide for a second, but this double corner right here is going to be an interesting spot to make some passes. It's very tight through there, very deceiving, and that'll set you up for the back straightaway here. And this is going into turn number 7, a long right-handed sweeper, and then into turn number 8 coming up, a hard left-handed hairpin, and then you're back on the NASCAR oval for turns 9 and 10, and you're coming to the line to finish your first lap.
It's a relatively simple but a very fun road course at that. Another car that I saw had issues, no damage, but it was the number 20 Gamer Advantage Chevrolet of David Schoenhaus. He's piloting a Cup Series car, so he's going to start in a less than advantageous position. But Michael Gonzalez representing Casey Kerwin on Twitch. Josh will lead us in the opening lap of the eRacr Roval Racing Series.
Yes, and they're coming down into turn number 1, turn number 2. The rest of the field is. In the Cup cars, it's kind of difficult, keeping it woed down, getting into 3 here and not wheel hopping. The kink don't want to go too wide into, and Chin is going to be kind of just chasing Gonzalez right now. But yeah, Blake, what do you think right now as far as pitch strategy goes? Are you going to try and go ahead?
Big trouble. Dustin Ping entering turn 3 got hit in the right rear. He spins it in the back of the field. Actually, I think he checked up. He missed his braking zone and was about to run into the back of Brandon Panito, so he parks it on the entrance of turn 3, one of the hairpins that works its way into the road course. So, Josh, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I can't remember what your question was now.
So I was gonna ask, pit road strategy. You got 27 minutes to make a decision here. You're gonna have 27 minutes before pit road closes for the halfway break, and it makes you figure out what are you going to do here. Am I gonna go run it to the end there, or am I gonna come down and try and short pit the rest of the field?
Well, I think it just depends on where you're running. And also, this is one of the great things that we don't know, Josh. I can't really speak to multi-class racing on here. You may have a different strategy. Some cars may be able to go further on fuel. I would imagine that the Cup cars, they're turning higher RPMs here. You'd imagine that the Cup cars probably get worse fuel mileage than the Xfinity car or perhaps the truck. But for the most part, Sean, I think this is a much cleaner start to this race than I would have imagined. I was wondering how turn 3 would go, and so far, it has exceeded my expectations.
It definitely has. I mean, like we were saying, this is a fun little track. I mean, it's not very common. Of course, we got some more guys that's all over the place going into turn 3, as you're mentioning. But yeah, this infield course especially is pretty technical. It's small, but it's very narrow, but it's got a whole lot of passing zones in it, and that is what makes this a fun little track. As we got some contact back here, we're looking back in the trucks. The 74 of Jeremy Brault and Caleb Brees and the 28 come together in turn 4. And this is a good amount of passing. As we mentioned, David Schildhouse is kind of mired far in the back. He's trying to make some passes in this infield section. But up at the front, as we see here, Michael Gonzalez starting to open it up a little bit on Josh Chin. And there's Matt Busa right there in the 3rd spot. So a lot of talent here strewn about this race. And as to what Josh was saying, I'm thinking that you might just want to stay the course. So unless you're far back like David Schildhouse is, like Chris Henyon is back here, they might want to short pit to make up some spots. But it's all going to be revolved around when that caution comes out.
And we're going to see right here, Matt Busa is making a move to the inside into 3, one of the many places you can pass, but, should you pass is the question. He also just set the fastest lap on lap 2. One of the other points you can earn is if you're in a points-paying position already, you can get fastest lap. It's kind of a balance. Do you want to waste the tire? These tires wear so quick. They get so hot. You're already on a slick, hot track. It's 89 degrees. Track's going to be really, really cooking those tires. Do you want to go for fastest lap for that extra point, or do you want to keep the car conserved?
That's a good point. And by the way, that track temperature has increased 3 degrees since we started racing on it. It is now upwards of 91 degrees out here. So very accurately simulating, I think, the middle of the summer heat in Texas at that on July 17th. But a good battle up here in the Cup Series class, of course, for the overall race lead right now. Gary Weaver holding off a long line of cars behind him. He's leading the NASCAR Xfinity Series class. Gary Weaver, Matt Taylor, Brian Sabelski, the 3 drivers that we were looking at earlier. And, this is something, Sean, without any chicanes to interrupt things, when you look back at the lead of the Xfinity class, there is a tow. There is a draft around this because the oval section is so long.
It is, and it's kind of reminds me of the Daytona road course in a way. You got that I guess turns 5 and 6, that little left right hander in the infield can maybe qualify as a chicane, but the draft does play a big factor in this, as we see for the lead in the Xfinity Series. Gary Weaver goes off the track, and Matt Taylor in the number 8 car is going to take the lead away from him. But again, it's all about who can get through this infield section. But if you can stay close enough to somebody and you're battling for position, that draft definitely is going to play a big factor into making this a longer battle than it probably needs to be.
That's certainly the case. And of course, you think of the aerodynamics. This car is built to run at a very low gears. You see Matt Busa all over the back of Michael Gonzalez. We know Busa, an eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series driver, one of the few black stripes in the field for tonight's race. We knew he'd be strong, started 2nd in class, and he has not let Michael Gonzalez out of sight. About 3 or 4 car lengths is all that separates this battle for the overall race lead.
I want to bring note that Josh Shin missed turn number 3 and is now filed back to 10th place of the Cup Series class, just a little bit ahead of Matt Taylor in the 8 car.
Lead.
There you go.
Change for the race lead to the inside of turn number 3. We'll see if Busa can use the outside lane in turn 4. I think Gonzalez will have it for the time being. Busa going to go wide, perhaps try to cross him over. But this is a section, Sean, you can't really go double wide through turns 5 and 6 here. It's such a narrow portion of this racetrack. Very difficult to try and do and get through there. But Busa certainly seems to have the long run pace that I think is required in this series, with it being timed, knowing we're going to have these long green flag runs. I think that's what he's going to need, is to be able to have that long run pace.
And this kind of tailors back to what Josh was saying earlier about tires. I mean, Josh, you drove the Cup car yesterday, and you were talking exactly about the long run in these things. The tires just get so hot that you got to have the handling under you. And if you don't have the handling, you're not really going to go much of anywhere in these cars. So it's going to be crucial for these guys to keep these tires not only as conserved as possible, but as cool as possible, to kind of keep the traction under these things. And right now, I think the guy you want to pay attention that can do that the best so far would probably be Matt Busa. I'd say he's got a lot of experience keeping the tires on it in Coke Series competition and then some. But right now, he has not let Michael Gonzalez out of his sight.
No, he is not. Still trying to chase him down as they work through turn 3. Another pretty strong contender right behind them, though, hasn't let him out of his sights. If anything, is starting to run down our race leaders. Matt Danson that last time by about 0.6 of a second better than your race leaders in Michael Gonzalez and Matt Busa. So very good battle going up here, the NASCAR Cup Series class. But also we've had a change in our Xfinity Series class. Matt Taylor has taken the race lead from Gary Weaver, and he's opened that gap up to about 1.5 seconds. Weaver now under assault as they work through 5 and 6. Brian Sabelski started to make up a little bit of ground on him, but still, there's just battles going on, and this is what we knew we would have in multi-class racing, guys. Is we would be able to look at multiple battles that are going on all over the place.
Yep, and with these guys just battling constantly, we're going to take a little breather with it while we got a little lull in the action here. But as we were talking about, these guys are definitely going to be figuring out when would be the best time to make moves on the track. So we're talking about the passing zones at this track, where and when to do it. There's 2 hairpins at this place, and those are the optimal passing zones. But like we say, it's a long race, so we got a long way to go so far. But so far, been an interesting race to say the least.
It has, Josh.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say it's definitely been an interesting race. It's interesting to see how the Xfinity and the truck cars are kind of mingling together. There isn't really a defined line where, the trucks are faster or the Xfinity cars are faster. It's really just a hodgepodge, excluding 12th through about 16th right now, where the Xfinity cars have that draft and they're able to carry the speed throughout the oval section.
That's been the case, and I think one other thing in particular, the trucks are one that we'll have to watch. I know watching with this battle, we talk about that this is kind of the beginner class, if you will. I think it's the right way to put it, Sean, is that with that, the trucks have a huge toe. You don't really think of them as driving as well on road courses, but I think through the practices that we've seen, we've been kind of surprised at the pace that those trucks have and really how similar they are to the Xfinity cars. We had plenty of trucks here on the overall grid that outpace themselves against some of the Xfinity rides.
For sure. And I was one of the few yesterday that was fortunate enough to get to test drive the truck here at this track. And I agree 100%. So the cars, like I was saying, the Xfinity cars and the trucks are similar than what people might think. So the Xfinity cars, will have a little bit of an edge on the straightaways, but I kind of felt the trucks had a little bit of an edge in the road course portion of the tracks here. And that's going to be the best part of this series, is seeing which driver can balance out the strengths of each one of these cars. Obviously the Cup cars will be a little bit more faster because they're a little more aerodynamic. But with the B and C classes, they can kind of mix it up with each other, and that might cause some drama later on in this series because you've got some drivers battling, but you got a faster car behind them. That's the beauty of multi-class racing. A lot of dramatics can unearth themselves in these races. So who can kind of play the strategy right and who can have the best luck on their side is going to be a big key to find success in this series for sure.
Absolutely. And again, we apologize for the technical issues as our buddy Blake has become the dark void in the middle here. He's just hanging out. We're not sure where he went or what happened to him, but We're just hanging out right now. It's about 12 minutes into the race so far. And currently, as it stands, Matt Busa was able to get a pass for the lead around Michael Gonzalez. Michael Gonzalez has fallen back to third. And right now, Matt Danson is just a tenth of a second going into turn number 1 right behind him. It's a real tight race. And we're working to try and get everything sorted right now. And we'll get back to the action on track as soon as we can figure it out. But in the meantime, me and Sean will be more than happy to keep you guys entertained with a little social distancing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Blake just did us a favor here and just kind of put the whatever this is between us right here. But appreciate everybody being here as well. So we're still kind of working out the King's Law right now. It's a new thing, but and thank you, Geach, in the chat, by the way, for thanking me for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know what I did. But we'll be right back with everything in just a second. Got to work a little bit of the kinks out. I think Blake, he's got the.
I think his internet went down, which is so far seems to be the par for this for what's going on right now. We got a lot of technical issues, but we're doing our best to try and resolve them for you guys. In the meantime, I guess we could go MRN style broadcast if you want to. I mean, might as well have fun with it. So as it stands right now, Matt Danson has taken the lead, exiting the infield, and now has put about a half a second between himself and Matt Busa, the Matt and Matt show, leading the field into turn number 1 with Michael Gonzalez, just about a tenth of a second or a half a second behind Matt Busa himself going into turn number 3.
Now, I was kind of saying Matt Danson is a bit of a dark horse in this series because he is a very, very good driver in the stock cars on road courses, especially. We've seen him in the FTF series over when we've been on road courses there, so he's no stranger to success here. And he's outperforming some of the best right now in the service. Matt Busa, Michael Gonzalez, Liam Sheen, the top 4. But they are 4 cars under a blanket right now. You got to believe me. I'm looking at it right now. We'll get it back up here in a second. But right now, these are the 4 guys that are the closest on the track right now. And as we were talking about earlier, as Blake says, hashtag thank you Spectrum in the chat. So really good negative publicity there, Blake. Appreciate that. But nonetheless, we'll get everything back sorted here shortly, and we get to see where Blake would be. Josh, so I guess I can throw it over to you, literally, with I don't know what that was. But yeah, right now stuff's starting to heat up towards the front.
Yeah, for sure. And right now, Matt Danson is working his way through turn number 4. Has put a huge distance between himself and Matt Busa. I would say about a second or more. Now has a truck car, the 71 car, in between. And as you can see, we got a show for you guys here. You can see exactly what we're talking about.
We weren't kidding. We're explaining the action as it was happening. We promise. So, but there you see, that's we got some more action happening back here. Michael Gonzalez is side by side with Liam Sheen. That is the battle for 3rd overall. But Matt Danson, as you were talking about, just having a great last lap here, was about 0.8 of a second faster than Matt Busa the last time by. So the more these guys race for second, Josh, the bigger that lead is going to get for Danson for sure.
Absolutely. And you got to be careful going through this infield. I don't think there is room for 2 wide. I don't think that's possible. And if you're able to make it work, it's probably because you move somebody out of the way, and you might have it coming back for you next time you're in the infield. As you can see, he is just gapping himself a second now. I would say if this was a F1 broadcast, outside of DRS range, which is great for him. But 2 seconds now, 2.5, and just continuing to build that. He has an incredible drive off into the oval, which is what you need in these Cup cars. You can't let those tires slide. You can't let them overheat. If you're able to get that run off, you're good to go. And Sean, what do you got for me?
Well, I'm looking at this lead just get so much bigger. That's crazy to see right now, because Matt Danson just put more distance on him on the oval, if you can believe it. There we go, back to Matt Busa, currently in 2nd spot. As this is the tricky part of the track. This is one of the passing zones. Liam Sheen late on the brakes going into turn 3, gets right to the back bumper. Matt Busa is not able to do anything with it. That might open the door for Michael Gonzalez right there in the 4th position. But this is where the closest battle is right now on the racetrack. We had a car just off the track ahead of these guys, Arthur Reimer in the 49 car. He's currently 32nd overall. He's apparently, I think he's about 9th or 10th in his class. There you see Arthur in the Xfinity car. But this is the first time we're going to see as Arthur gets loose going into the corner right in front of our leader, Matt Danson. This might hold him up a little bit if he's not out of the way enough.
Oh,
Yeah,
by the way.
Hey, you're back.
Yeah.
Thanks for the social distancing there.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Spectrum.
As you can see, go ahead. Are you in the session or are you just hanging out until you
we're currently loading back in, but
Great.
it looks like Danson, I guess through all that was end up able to take the race lead. Of course, you guys can see the scoring on the left-hand side of your screen, the colors indicating which class that everybody's running in. So Danson doing a nice job, but glad I could get back in here. Had a little bit of a technical internet issue, but we should be full steam ahead here.
Appreciate you being here, Blake. But one thing I was actually going to point out, a little bit, actually not that far back behind, but second place changed hands while we were going over the battle for the lead. It was Liam Sheen overall got around Matt Busa, and he was able to put a little distance as Busa's still dropping back. He just lost the third spot to Michael Gonzalez. So I don't know what's going on right now in the Busa camp. Maybe he's just trying to see, how hard he can go and keep the tires on it or what. But nonetheless, Liam Sheen is actually showing a little bit of speed here as he makes his way into second.
He is getting stopped by Reimer right now. Arthur Reimer in the 49 car, but is able to get around him as he goes into the next infield U-turn, so to speak. And now the question is this going to hold up Michael Gonzalez as this battle is heating up for third place?
Want to provide a little update for every one of the children in the chat, maybe. So David Schildhaus currently being shown in the 14th position overall. He is currently right now 10th in class. So he's got a long way to go to get back to where he needs to be up there. There you see him, the number 20 Gamer Advantage Chevy Camaro. Just got by the number 6 of David Grantham. He's currently leading the C class of this. And look at this. As I was talking about, we were talking about, I guess, Grantham is able to kind of draft up to Schildhaus right there, and he's able to get through the infield section very well. But this is where we're going to see, Josh, just what the difference of these cars are as we head back into the NASCAR Oval. Let's see how much of a gap Schildhaus is able to put on the truck here.
We're going to get a nice side-by-side battle, but here's the thing. So much power, you got to be able to control it. And as we see right here, David just not able to control it off the infield exit. He's going to get the speed here going into turn number 3 and or going down the front stretch. He'll get around him. He'll have the speed, but can he back it down?
That thing got up to full song really quick. Thank you, Tyler O'Neill, for that saying. But that's what we were talking about. This is a good battle right here. It's not really a battle, but this just goes to show what the different types of cars will do. Schildhaus, those tires are screaming right now, so Grantham's able to get by again. And let's see if he could put any distance on Schildhaus. Grantham looked to be pretty good in the infield portion of the track here, so he's still got Schildhaus behind them. Again, if you're just joining us, multi-class racing here at the Texas Roval, the Legacy Texas Roval here in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. First race tonight, and look at the gap Grantham is able to put on Schildhaus. Just so much more grip in that truck as compared to that Cup car.
To give you an idea of just how incredible Schild getting in there,
Not having fun in that thing.
He's keeping it on the track. But to give you an idea of just how incredible of a run David is having, not Schildhaus, Grantham's having in that 6 truck, is he is up to P14 overall in the field, and there are 12 Cup cars out there, so he's at least beating 3 of them and has almost most of the right now as we see Busa just retired from the race. He was up to 4th and he just retired from the race. I'm not really sure what happened. Let me see if I can figure that out if you guys want to take over from there.
Yeah, so -1 Cup car here, so for Matt Busa. But Blake, as we were saying, lots of different ways you can drive these things, and now we're starting to get a mix of the drivers here as we go back to our leader, Matt Danson, currently working on the 22 of Brandon Watkins. Watkins is 29th overall, 9th in his class, so he's got a bit of work to do. But look at the speed these Cup cars have compared to pretty much everything else.
Oh, I think there's no doubt about it. Seeing these cars, I think this is what we were all interested in, especially when we get down to turns 1 and 2 on the oval, is really seeing how these Cup cars pull away and make up about those 1 or 2 seconds. The one thing, though, looking at David Grantham, looking at some of the other trucks that are out here right now, I'm kind of impressed that the trucks have kept those tires. It seems like the Xfinity cars, they have a little bit more power. They have a little bit less downforce, so they have a little bit more speed. But I think that through the infield and through these runs as we go, we see one truck sliding off into the grass there, right through near turns 5 and 6. We'll try to see if he can get things back going. Or actually, that was off of turn 3.
So
that was Vinny McConnell
there. Yep.
Yeah, Vinny McConnell and the AC Delco, love that paint scheme that he's running. But it seems like the truck doesn't have quite the tire wear that that Xfinity car has, and perhaps that's why we've seen, David Grantham able to drive away from David Schoenhaus there.
One in the infield grass. It's the 13 of Philip Bupp. He's able to keep it going, though. No spin or anything. He's able to keep it going there. But I think the main reason for that is the trucks are just not as fast as these cars on the oval side. And as we see the trucks, the faster they go, or the cars, I should say, the faster they go, the lower into the track they go because of the downforce. And that pushes the tires further into the track, which heats them up more. So I think maybe whoever plays the strategy on the oval right, maybe not go all the way full throttle on this, just kind of keep saving tires there. That might be the key to keeping that long run speed in these cars.
It might be. And, of course, looking at the qualifying times, we saw the Cup cars in the 1:17, 1:18 range for the most part. So a good amount faster than the Xfinity cars, where the pole was a 1:19.8. So you're sporting about 2 seconds from the Xfinity car to the Cup car. However, we did see a lot of mingling in that field where you had a fair amount of Truck Series competitors that were faster than those in the Xfinity cars. So it's really where that B class and that C class are very similar in terms of speed, and then the Cup car, that extra high horsepower with the high horsepower, low downforce package is really proving to be a difference. But giving a rundown here of some of your classes right now: Michael Gonzalez, Matt Busa in second, Joshua Chin third, Matt Danson fourth. Liam Sheen completes your top 5 in the Cup cars overall, that is, or at least in.
Oh, trouble. David Schildhaus is spun going into turn 3.
Ooh, that's not good. Blake, I don't know if you're everything's updated, but I do have an update on Matt Busa. He withdrew from the race. He's currently P34 overall. He's out of this race. Must have had an issue of some sort. But another pit road update: Joshua Chin, who sits P14 overall, did pit already. Will he stay out, as we're coming within 2 minutes of pit road closing? So we may see people who decide they want to come down pit road, take a couple of tires, get some fuel, and try and get a leg up on the rest of the competition. What do you guys think? What's your plan?
That's true. Well, I was reading off the qualifying order a little bit earlier, so that's my mistake on that. But
thanks, Becky.
Yeah, and drivers were just informed over the race control from the call came down from the tower that pit road is about to close, and we may have some takers. Chris Hinion right now electing to come onto pit road and get those fresh tires, perhaps jump some track position. So this is what's going to be really interesting. Not only are we going to have this halfway caution, not only are we going to have some drivers short pit that to gain track position, guess what? We're going to mix up classes here, too, on this restart. So we're going to figure out a lot here that I think may apply over the next 5 weeks on what you want to think about when it comes to strategy. Because, again, this is something that is just so foreign to all of us as we continue to see Matt Danson continuing to catch some slower traffic in the slower classes. That is DJ Swiss. And you also have to think about, if you're one of these vehicles that's in a C class or a B class, do you risk coming down pit road right now and going a lap down? I don't think you want to do that if you're on the verge of going a lap down like Riley Dunn or Caleb Brees.
Definitely not. I mean, I think track position on this restart is going to be humongous. We talked about the impact the entry into turn 3 had at the start of the race. Well, that was with all the classes in order. So we had A at the front, B in the middle, C at the back. But now with this restart, as you mentioned, everyone is going to be mixed up, and everyone, especially with the top classes, if they're a little further back, like maybe David Schildhouse, Josh Chin, if he's still back there, maybe Aaron Smith, James Gibson, those guys, if they're further back behind in the mix of the classes, they're going to want to make up some time, and hey, maybe throwing it in turn 3 is in the ticket for them, and that could cause a big incident, especially with the guys at the front of each B or C class. So that is definitely going to be a crazy one to watch.
I tell you what, you don't need gamer advantage glasses to see how much David Schildhouse is struggling with the rear grip in that race car. He is just sliding off of every corner, Josh.
Yeah, tires are hot, track is hot. You just need to give yourself patience. You got to sit down, not let yourself get too stressed out about the car, and just have a good time and be patient on that throttle. If you're too aggressive to the throttle, you're going to burn those rear tires up, and you're going to pay for it the entirety of your run. So you just got to throttle. Yeah, easy on the throttle. Easy on the throttle. Easy on the brake. You don't want to over brake it, and then you burn those front tires, because then you're just going to have no grip, and you're going to be pushing tight throughout the rest of the infield, as we see Matt Danson is struggling with right now as we enter into turn number 3. Oh, you can't see. You got David Schildhouse. There you go. He was struggling as we were entering into turn number 3, and seems to have it a little bit under control now.
Danson seeming to gain control of that race car. And mind you, remember all the way back, of course, it's hard to believe it was just a couple of weeks ago. Think back to the Firecracker 400. Think of the hot, slick track that we were talking about racing at Daytona in those 1987 cars. That is the temperatures that we are replicating right now. We are now up to 92 degrees Fahrenheit, 134 degree track temperature. I mean, these are reaching Firecracker-esque numbers, Sean. This is a hot, slick track, and especially at the end of these runs, these drivers are just lacking and screaming for rear grip to get to this halfway yellow.
And I thought the Firecracker was hard enough to drive on a slick track. I can't imagine what a road course like this is like to drive, as we're approaching 1 minute left to go in the first half, I guess you could say, of this race. We'll get this caution momentarily. But like we've been talking about, it's been just who can keep these tires cool, and the guy on your screen has done by far the best job of that. Not Justin Malillo there, Matt Danson in the Chevy right there. Speaking of Justin Malillo, haven't mentioned him at all in this race, as Danson's going to put him a lap down. Justin qualified for this race, put down a couple nice laps at the Roval at Charlotte qualifying session that we had last weekend. He qualified his way into this race, and if you follow him on Twitter, he was shocked enough that he made it, but he's here. Currently running in 9th in class, 22nd overall, and just the first car, I guess, 1 lap down now. But not too bad of a showing for Justin so far.
You see Joshua Chin there get a lap back. He just pitted a few laps ago, so he'll be staying out here as the rest of the field comes down pit road, as the caution should be coming out here in about 20 seconds. Another small update, or rather large update, that is a big player. Michael Gonzalez has also just retired the car for the race. Not sure what happened there. Might have gotten an incident that made it so he couldn't drive it anymore. We'll go ahead and get more information here during the caution break, which should be coming out here any second.
So we're now down to 8 Cup cars, I believe, now.
And the caution flag is out. They had closed pit road just a little while ago, but we finally have our halfway caution flag that will put us on pause for just a moment and let us re-rack things and see where everybody's running, what all is going on. Again, this is foreign territory for us, so where everybody shakes out, what cars got lapped, who didn't, that's all something that I guess we're going to learn together right here. But you see the pace car picking up Matt Danson. The rest of the field are going to be taking a little while to catch back up to the rest of the field, guys. But I don't know. Sean, Josh, what are your impressions of what we just saw over the first 30 minutes? I kind of like what I see. I don't know about you guys.
I'm liking what I'm seeing right now, too. I mean, it's been very competitive. It's been a lot of, give and take to start the race, and who's got that long run speed has been the most important. But I was just thinking, but right as this caution came out, Joshua Chin and Chris Henyon were able to get back on the lead lap with about a few seconds to spare before the caution came out. So as we talked about, as Blake touched on earlier, they pit right before the pits close. So these guys are for sure going to stay out under this caution period, and they might be the front two in this whole field, not just their classes, So this is going to be an interesting little scenario to see play out. How are their tires going to fare compared to the new ones? But I think they made the right call getting this track position, Josh. I don't know about you.
Yeah, and one of the other players I want to mention is was the class leader there for a while, Matt Taylor. He is on a 3-lap stint, so he came in right before they closed pit road. He's going to be an interesting one. He may be the leader. He's the first car I see on track who has pitted, so we may have an Xfinity car leading us to the green here.
And see, that's what I was getting at when we talk about these drivers that play different strategy. Are we going to see things shake out a little bit different? Could we see an Xfinity car on old tires lead this race after? But we'll wait a little bit for right now. We obviously see everybody coming down onto pit road. Sean, I think 4 tires and fuel is the only call right now at this juncture.
Give me 8 tires right now if you can fit them on these cars. But as we've seen, the tire wear is so critical for these cars, especially in the cars. The trucks don't seem to have quite as bad a fall off as the cars do, as we see one truck, I think, maybe missed his pit stall. That's the 36 of Tyler Stillwell. But it looks like Matt Danson's going to win the overall race off of pit road. Liam Sheen is going to come out in second, and DG Swiss going to come out of the pits in third. Justin Lilienthal, John Wheatendorf is going to be right behind them. But we see on the results screen here, as you see our ticker frantically updating with all the classes and all the shaking up going on, there's going to be a lot of classes mixed up here, as we talked about, Blake, and it's going to be quite a restart for sure.
It is, and you know what? I'll try to give you guys a kind of full rundown of how the classes are looking at the moment. I tried beforehand, and I looked at the grid rather than how they were running in the race. But right now, Matt Danson, Liam Sheen, John Whitendorf, Aaron Smith, James Gibson, your top 5 in the Cup cars. Josh Chin in 6th, David Schildhouse in 7th, Chris Hinion in 8th. They are just getting onto pit road, so if that tells you the separation in this field. We just saw Danson. They left a while ago. Hinion, Schildhouse, and the rest on pit road at the moment. And then, of course, we've had a couple of early exits in the NASCAR Cup Series class. Michael Gonzalez, Lucas Cram having a connection issue. Matt Busa and Cole Woody right now are behind the garage. We may see Lucas Cram make a reappearance if he's able to get his connection straightened back up. In the B class, in the NASCAR Xfinity cars, right now, Brian Sabelski is scored as your leader. Then Gary Weaver in second. Harry Grindle in third. 4th is Matt Taylor. 5th is Larry Orn. 6th, Ben McDonnell. 7th, Philip Bupp. 8th is Joseph Selby. Justin Malillo, 9th, Arthur Reimer in 10th. And, of course, we may see some of this shuffle back out after timing and scoring refreshes after the caution flag. And then this is where I think the strategy comes into play, Sean, because I'm looking at the truck order. I'm seeing about half the field that is a lap down and half the field that's not. So it'll be interesting to see, do we kind of see only about a 4-horse race here in the Truck Series class and the C class, because some trucks went a lap down during that first half that we had.
Yeah, I'm showing there's 5 trucks on the lead lap right now. We got the class leader, David Grantham, in the 6 truck is currently leading. Brandon Paunetto is currently running in second in the 5 truck. Then you got to go all the way back. There's about 5 or 6 cars in between second and third in class. The 98 of Travis Grametta is in 15th, third overall in class. Caleb Reese and Riley Dunn. Now, 3rd, 4th, and 5th in the trucks are all right by each other. The problem is they're going to be starting right smack in the middle of the whole pack. So turn 3 is going to be an interesting place. There's going to be a lot of implications for all these classes, but I think a podium position in the Truck Series class is going to be on the line, and who can make it out of there alive after this is going to be who's going to do it.
Well, and that's what we saw was turn 3 was the trouble spot early on, what was going to happen, because for those of you who haven't run this road course before, when you're getting off of oval turn 2, that is your braking point. There's no braking markers at this racetrack anywhere on this road course, so you have to be disciplined. And I know personally I use the rubber on the racetrack kind of as a visual guide on when you need to lift, and going in there with 10, 20 cars like we might have in just a couple of moments, going to be hair-raising for sure. But of course, Blake McCandless, myself, Sean Butler, and Josh Mendoza, glad to have you with us for the inaugural race of what I'll call the ERS the eRacr Roval Racing Series here at the Texas Motor Speedway. We have a lot of great tracks that are coming up as well. It's not going to be just at Texas. We're going to go to Pocono. We're going to go to a lot of different racetracks in New Hampshire. Some great, again, road courses, Rovals, whatever you want to call them, that are underutilized. They're scanned. They're in the iRacing service. For the most part, we haven't visited them, but we'll see how it goes. Right now, Matt Taylor leading the B class. He is your overall leader as well. He's going to get us going under the green, as well as Joshua Chin, who elected to short pit, and they're going to look 3 wide into turn 1.
Oh my goodness, Josh, you called it before that Matt Taylor is going to be the leader of this thing, but he is dropping like a cinder block in a 2-foot creek, and here they come into turn 3. Who's going to make it out? We see a dive by Liam Sheen for the overall lead.
Oh, my goodness gracious. There was a bit of an incident back there. That's Ben McDonald and Harry Grindle get caught up going into 3, but everybody else manages. Oh, my goodness gracious. Right now we have 2 class leaders racing side by side. That's David Grantham and Matt Taylor. Wow. What a restart. Holy cow. I am just smiling from ear to ear right now. This is what I was hoping we would see with multi-class NASCARs, and boy, is it delivering.
And really quick, as we talked about before the restart, David Grantham is the class leader in the trucks, but right on his tail is the 5 of Brandon Paunetto. That is for the lead in the C class. As they're heading into the final hairpin, we see the 16 of Ben McDonald just drive it in there. But a great runoff by Grantham. He's able to get a good run. Paunetto had some tire spin. But, man, that was something on that restart, Blake, as we're looking to get a clean lap to complete lap number, I believe, 26 overall.
It certainly was. And can we talk about the fact that Whitendorf, David Grantham, they are in trucks right now. They should be the slowest vehicle, as he'll get split 3 wide going through the tri-oval here at Texas by 2 B cars. See, that's what should happen. The Xfinity cars, they should be in front of this. But these trucks, David Grantham, they're doing such a tremendous job. They're in front, and now Grindle, and this is where we're going to see classes racing against each other. Panito goes on by in a truck. It should be slower, but they are doing a great job.
This is incredible. You see he's, 2 wide through the infield. I don't think that's going to work, but they managed to make it work. But you're going to want to go single file as you go through this little S-bend right here. Oh, man, getting a little bit of dirt there. It's the car in front. That's the 70 of Harry Grindle. He got a 4X earlier. He did not slow down into 3 on the restart, but he managed to get it all collected and is currently chasing down the 8 of Matt Taylor just ahead of him.
Chasing down those cars in front of him. My goodness, Matt Taylor under assault here. Again, leading the B class. Was he at the beginning of the lap? Not so much the case now. He rides in second. Whitendorf, though, doing a tremendous job as well. Another overperformer when you talk about these different classes, running up here in a really good spot, trying to chase these guys down at the front of the pack.
I do want to correct one thing. The coloring on Whitendorf is incorrect. He is an A-class driver, so he is in his he's doing what he needs to be doing for his team.
He's passing Joshua Chin for 4th going into turn number 3. Looking late on the brakes. Chin is going to try to cross him over. Here comes Aaron Smith in that 42 car. This is just for 4th in the A-class, but they're battling out like it's the last lap here.
We do have 20 minutes remaining, so you do have to get on it because this is the time to get it.
It is, and by the way, I looked at Whitendorf's car, and he had the Mustang nose, and I thought he was an Xfinity car just because I was looking in rear chase. I was looking at the nose, and it got me a little confused for a second because they look so similar. It's a little easier to tell if you're a Supra or a Silverado, but the Mustangs from Cup to Xfinity side by side, you can mistake them for one another. But I think for the most part, we're seeing these drivers settle it out. We're having a battle for the overall lead. Liam Sheen has had control of this field for a little while. He's in front of Matt Danson right now. He's got about 5 or 6 car lengths over him, but Liam Sheen representing HPM right now, holding the top spot, holding serve over Matt Danson.
Now, would this be an advantage for Danson, because we've seen the draft, just how big of a factor it is, and maybe the tire heat become a factor on the oval? Do you think, Blake, maybe Danson is kind of maybe running 80-90% throttle on the oval to keep the tires under it? Because I think he could do that for a few laps, let Sheen run full throttle and maybe heat his tires up and lose grip. And Danson could very well do what he did in the first half of the race and just keep that tire under him and drive away from everybody.
Well, I think he's doing that a little bit. He knows he has a lot of long-run pace. He was able to work quickly through some of that initial traffic, but also part of me thinks you don't want to be behind him. I know we talk about dirty air a lot in these Cup cars, but you also have to think the setup that we're on right now, it's built to drive in the infield. You need stability in these low speed, long, sometimes tight corners here in the infield section. So I know driving these corners, and again, this isn't the Charlotte Roval. We're going through the ovals, 1 and 2 or 3 and 4, whatever you want to call it. You're not really up to full speed like you would be. When you're going through 1 and 2 at this racetrack, you are as fast as you would be going as if we were just racing on the oval. I have to think that dirty air that point is dancing on the apron. He's skating a little bit.
I think he caught the left front of his splitter on that apron. And when you do that, it does not like that at all.
And you know what that's going to do as well? It's going to heat the tires up like crazy, Josh. So that is definitely not what Matt Danson wanted to do. And another guy we haven't talked all that much about, closing right on the back of him, James D. Gibson, and then number 82, Valvoline Chevrolet, started back in 11th overall. He's made his way to the podium spot in A-Class.
Yeah, he's actually not a full-time driver. Didn't qualify his way into this field. The series has 15 full-time drivers in the A class. If one of them opts to not race that week, we'll get a part-time driver. James Gibson, one of those, and outperforming a lot of those full-time drivers right now.
He certainly is, as we see the battle there for the top of the Cup Series class, but my eyes are drawn to everything that's happening right now in the top of the B and C class. We have Matt Taylor, who has a pretty sizable lead over Harry Grindle. Grindle running in second in B class. He's holding off David Grantham, which, by the way, what a tremendous job that Grantham's doing. We think about when we made these classes that you would have your most experienced drivers in the Cup cars. And it would kind of progressively work down as the cars were a little bit slower. So would it be skill-wise. But David Grantham right now just doing such a great job right now in a truck, and you can see on your screen running very well overall right now in this race. He's doing a tremendous job.
The 6 of David Grantham, he's a C-Class driver, and the 8 of Matt Taylor is also a C-Class driver. Those are our 2 class leaders for the B and C class, and the only one who isn't a C licensed class driver is Liam Sheen, who's an A-Class driver.
Right behind Brian Sabelski going into turn 3 in the 85, just locked up the left front on that car. He's currently running 3rd right now in the B class. So that could potentially have been a disaster averted there. He's got a little bit of gap between he and Gary Weaver in the 07, who's in 4th in the B class. But as you were talking about, Blake, pretty much from Matt Taylor in the 8 car on back here as we go down the quote-unquote, I call this the back stretch, I guess. I don't know if that's a legal term for that in this track or not. But a lot of the top 3 in each class are right by each other. So Harry Grindle is starting to reel in Matt Taylor a little bit for the overall B class lead. But David Grantham, as we talked about, was able to put some space on himself and Brandon Pawnetto in the 5 truck for the C-Class lead. So right now, Grantham, I think if we had to put an MVP for this race so far, it'd be him. He's mixing it up with the higher classes right now in the C-Class.
I think so. And you know what? I'm going to play director here for a second. I'd love to go on board now with Chris Hinyon, driver 63, and just kind of give you a little bit of a look at a lap here around Texas Motor Speedway. I was going to mention the difference in speed between Grantham and Hinyon. Hinyon running in a Cup car, Grantham in the C-Class truck. Hinyon working his way into turn 3 right now. He lost a little bit of ground on that restart, trying to gain it back. He's all over the back of Harry Grindle, trying to get through turn 4, but just trying to, I guess, educate, because, again, this is a track that hardly anybody has raced. It's kind of a forgotten configuration. That's what's so cool about this series, is going through these racetracks that a lot of these race fans just haven't had the opportunity to see before.
You're going to see him going here. This is going to be a corner where, okay, you're going to slow it down, back it down. Very slow. Don't get too quick to the throttle. Just tiptoe your way through here. You're not going to make up time on these other cars. You're going to make your time up on this outside oval. Carry the speed, not too much. And then once again, patience with the throttle. Really hot track. You're going to make it up on the oval. And you'll see right here, he'll start to gap. and then he'll start to close that gap slowly but surely. The cup horsepower starts to kick in. He'll close in right there. 70 is going to move out of the way, and he'll get right on by him.
That closing rate on those cars is just insane.
It's incredible. And hearing the RPM screaming and the fact that we are still heating up this track, it is 136 on this track. It continues to climb. These temperatures do, as Henyon, you can see right now, catching what is right now the class leader for the B class is Matt Taylor.
I hate to interrupt right now, but we did just have a pass for the lead. Matt Danson passed Liam Sheen. He is now gapping himself. If I'm looking at my history right here, Liam Sheen had an off-track incident, so probably got off track going into turn 3 or so, and that's just one mistake away. Everything's one mistake away.
We have...
Seems like Blake's having a little bit of issues, so we'll go ahead and carry it on. Sean, as we go into turn 3 and 4, it looks like Matt Danson is just going to build this lead up. What are you thinking right now? You're inside Matt Danson's head. What are you thinking as you're getting 12 and a half minutes left in this session to go ahead and try and score yourself 25 championship points?
I'm just thinking how glad I am that mistake earlier didn't come back to bite me. He was able to keep the tires still very cool to be able to save him and still get by Liam Sheen. But if this thing keeps on going, which it looks like it is, green all the way, he's got this thing pretty much locked up. But as you said, Josh, it's one mistake away. As we got, speaking of mistake, a little further back behind them, I saw looks like the 24 of John Wietendorf go a little wide in turn 3 there. And he actually lost the 3rd spot in the A class. So moved James Gibson up to 3rd and moved Aaron Smith up to 4th. So we're going to see if he can get back there. But back to your point, Josh, Matt Danson can probably cruise along to the win right now. Oh, we got some trouble just ahead of him. Brandon Watkins in the 22 truck has spun it off of turn number 7. He's in the grass. There's Danson coming into frame.
Oh!
we have you now, Blake.
Oh, good.
I don't know if I stepped over Blake there, but on my end, I didn't hear anything from him. So I apologize if that's the case.
He was a robot for a while, so you're fine.
That was probably a gargled mess, but yeah, Travis Scrumetta also spun, getting in.
They're snipping Blake's mic, I think. Someone snapped out.
I'm nervous to step over just for a moment outside the booth right now and having a little fun. I'm nervous to step over him because I don't know if it's my connection or his connection, but based on this, it looks like it's going to be his connection right now. Well,
as he was alluding to, the 98 of Travis Scrumetta in turn 3 kind of locked up and spun it, and he got hit actually by a couple of trucks. One was the 77 of Riley Dunn, got a little bit of right front damage on that truck, but everyone is still able to keep it going. But Matt Danson right now, I don't think we have to worry about him right now. He is kind of checking out right now. We'll keep tabs on it. The battle that's kind of starting to heat up, if we want to go back to it, the 8 of Matt Taylor for the overall lead in the B class is kind of getting chased down by Harry Grindell in the 70 as they are starting to get closer and closer. There you see David Schildhaus is going to creep in a frame there in that red and white number 20 machine. He's fought his way into the top 10 overall, 7th in class right now. So these battles, Josh, coming down to the end of this race, it's starting to heat up. And as you said earlier, one mistake can change the whole complexion of this thing.
Absolutely. Actually, in that last turn right over there, I saw the A car of Matt Taylor. He got a little, I don't know, hot into that corner, wasn't able to get the corner that he wanted to, burned his tires, whatever, wheel hop. I don't know what the issue with the car was, but the overall result was he did not get the corner he wanted. That's going to go out for a little bit of a close-up. And this gap is growing here just a little bit. It's about 2 seconds now. And he's going to have to figure out something to do in the next 9.5 minutes because that's all he has left for the 70 of Harry Grindall.
And if anybody's ran a road course race at a Roval type track, whether it be Daytona Road Course, the Daytona 24, or the Charlotte Roval, the NASCAR Series, or pretty much anything, getting back onto the oval portion of the track is so important, especially if you're coming off of a low speed corner. that can really dictate how much time you gain or lose on the guy ahead of you. And as you said, Josh, if you get a good exit and don't spin the tires and try to fight for grip, that's going to be the key to keeping up or pulling away. And right now, it looks like the 8 of Matt Taylor is doing a little bit better of a job than Harry Grindel right now. But we still have enough time, just under 10 minutes, about 8.5 minutes left in this race. So who's going to have enough tire at the end of this? Who's going to dodge some bullets in the lap traffic? We'll see. But right now, the class leaders looking like they might have this thing locked up pending a catastrophic event on the track.
Absolutely. It's the distance is getting a little bit more right now between the 8 and the 70 car. It's about the same right now as the lead for the overall win, which is Matt Danson and Liam Sheen. They are about 2 seconds. And that's kind of the heated battle right now out on track. We'll see if they're able to get anything going here, as Harry Grindel is going to have a little bit of a pole from David Schildhouse, who's in a cup car ahead of him.
So we'll go and briefly run down who is leading what class. So right now, we got Matt Danson, of course, as we talked about, leading the A class right now. Matt Taylor in the 8 car is leading the B class. David Grantham has been dominant right now in the C class. I believe he has not relinquished the lead at all in this race for the C class, so he still leads. So, and these guys right now are the top 3 to beat in each one of these classes. We see right now, there's the 70 of right now Harry Grindel, second overall in the B class. Last time by for Matt Taylor, I should say, a 124.4, and for Harry Grindel, a 125.1. So Taylor just a little bit faster than Harry Grindel right now, and he's got clean racetrack. But I think, Josh, David Schildhouse might be giving a little bit of dirty air to that 70 machine of Harry Grindel. It might be holding him up a little bit.
Oh, really? That's interesting. You know, I was thinking, okay, he's going to break the air in front of him, give him a little bit of draft and a little bit of a tug, and help him down these straights. But if that's the dirty air and it's causing him to get tight in the corners, that's not good. That's not good at all.
It just might be. I was thinking that, but in the corners, in the road course especially, that could play a big factor. But just outside of frame here, behind Schildhouse and behind Grindel, David Grantham, again, our truck series leader, is mixing it up with these guys. So there you see him in the 6 truck right there. As we said, just been absolutely dominant. He's got about a 2-second lead over second in C class. But watch this. He might be able to close in on Harry Grindel and David Schildhouse. These guys, of course, in the cars have a better speed advantage on the oval side, but the truck, look at how much it closes up right to the back of the Xfinity car.
Man.
As I was thinking when we were testing yesterday, Josh, the truck might be the way to go if we have a long infield road course at a track we're at.
Absolutely, and that's going to be really interesting to see who performs in those trucks, because you're not going to see the likes of Casey Kerwin or anything like that able to hop in a truck. They're just not allowed to. They're only allowed to go out there in cup cars and perform in those cup cars. So you're going to be seeing somebody you probably haven't heard before or seen on a broadcast going out there performing and doing what they need to do to get their name out there, like David Grantham has done today.
Grantham has been so dominant, as we've said, in the truck series. It's going to take a lot to get him out of the lead. But speaking of dominant, Matt Danson at the head of the pack overall and in the A class. There you see him. There's something pretty unique about Matt Danson as we go into turn number 3. A very big lack of vehicles in his peripheral. He is just by himself. He's coming up right now on the number 71 truck of Stacy Hunter, currently running 11th in the C class, 27th overall. But man, Josh, Matt Danson has proven that tire temp is a big thing, and he has mastered the art of saving tires and keeping those things cool. He has just put a lot of time on second overall in Liam Sheen. Oh, we got some trouble back there right behind him. Arthur Reimer in the 49 goes off at turn number 6 and into the tire barrier. Not the first time we've seen Arthur in trouble tonight. He's able to keep it going, but not the outing Arthur would like to have in the first race of the season.
Yeah, these cars are tough. I mean, you watching this, you say, okay, they're going slow. What's the big deal? But they don't want to turn. These cars are built really great to do one thing, and that's go in ovals. Road courses, not their forte. So to see them going out here and doing these kind of tracks, you're going to see some people who may not necessarily have raced on these type of cars on these kind of circuits, finding them to be a little bit, I don't know, for lack of a better word, a brick with wheels. They don't want to do what you want them to do.
They'll turn left so decently, I guess, but you tell them to turn right. That's a whole different story. Plain to see there. But a big thing with these is throttle control. So we were preaching that in the practice races yesterday. A lot of the guys were kind of saying, man, these things don't have any grip when they come out of the corners. Well, you kind of gotta, be careful on that. As we see another battle, there's James Gibson in the 83. This is for position overall. As we make our way through the infield, we got a car off the racetrack. Gibson's going to go through, and oh my goodness, that's just a very tough break. As we see, that's the battle right now with John Wietendorf, Aaron Smith, and Gibson. But Wietendorf into the grass, and there's that mistake we were talking about. Josh changes the whole complexion of that battle.
Absolutely, and we are at go time. You have to make your move now. We have 3 minutes and 10 seconds remaining in this session. Go out there, get that move, make it, send it. You got this. It's your last chance to make something happen on track. 3 minutes, get it done. This is the time to do it. We will not end exactly at 3 minutes. We'll get a white flag. It may be slightly before or slightly after that time. Whenever Barney the flagman decides to throw that white flag is when we'll get it. But right now, 2 minutes, 45 seconds remaining. Let's go out there. And you can see him. He's chasing him as they go down through the front stretch, going past pit lane, trying to make up a little bit of room.
Still watching that battle, but another one that's heating up right now is the battle for second in B class. The 70 of Harry Grindel has been caught by the 85 of Brian Sabelski as they make their way through NASCAR 3 and 4. There you see Sabelski in the number 85 white and orange machine Camaros. They head off of turn 4. As you said, Josh, time is winding down. Again, podium spots for both of these guys, but you want to start off, as we said in the top of the broadcast, F1 style points. Position is everything as far as finishing these, and you want to clamor for every position you can. And right now, Brian Sabelski is trying to do just that in a turn 3. Grindel takes the defensive line. Grindel a little looser in the corner. He's going to go behind Sabelski to the inside. Can he make it stick? They're still side by side in a turn 4.
3 points on the line right here. This is the difference between 18 and 15 points for the overall championship. You want to get that move. You want to get it. 3 points is gonna make a huge difference. Go out there, get it. If you have to move them, do it, but don't wreck them. You want to do it in a way that you both are happy and it won't come back to bite you later in the series.
Hi, Blake.
Hi, Sean. How's it going? As we're looking at a fantastic battle right now, we see Grantham just directly behind them. Again, he's doing a little contact.
That's a minute and 15 seconds left. A minute and 15 seconds left. This may be maybe 2 more laps here.
Taylor's falling back to him as well. I feel like Taylor's lost a little bit of pace behind Schildhaus, who's trying to get some spots back in the A class. And here they go, side by side. 85 will look to go to the outside to try to get second in the B class.
This might play dividends for Grindel because he's got the preferred line on the low side. How is Sabelski going to make the top work? He's not able to make the move. Not missing anything right now in the front. We got still James Gibson and Aaron Smith and John Wietendorf still fighting for third, but the battles are so close. This is for podium spots as we have a 3-wide battle now for third going into turn 4 at the A class. There's so much action we can hardly keep up with it. Gibson's able to fend him off and move Wietendorf into 4th.
There's 30 seconds left on the clock. Can he get that move made? It's going to be difficult, but we'll see what they're able to do here as they're going into the other side of the infield, the U-turn.
We'll see what they can do here. Again, Danson might reach the start-finish line before that clock sets. So, I mean, we're coming up. This is either going to be the checkered or right at the white flag. I mean, it's going to 5, 4, 3, 2.
Barney is showing the white flag. We're going one more.
Yeah, we're going one more time around. I mean, that was within about another second of the race being official and Danson winning. But guess what? We're going to be granted one more lap.
Guys, B-class battle is starting to heat up, Blake. As you mentioned, Matt Taylor is slowly starting to fall back, and Brian Sabelski is within striking distance. They haven't taken the white flag yet, so they'll have one lap to do it. But the battles are getting closer and closer. Gibson in the A class is pulled away, not missing much there. But I think this might be the battle to watch here for the podium spots in B class as Sabelski comes off turn 4. Now the B class is taking the white flag. So everybody in every class now working their final lap.
That is going to be the case. So Taylor will lead the B class, then Sabelski, and then, of course, you have Grantham leading the trucks. He is being chased down, and he had a little bit of traffic. He's got Arthur Reimer right now, who's running a lap down in the B class. In front of him, Schildhaus is gone wide. How does that affect it? Is Taylor, the leader in the B class, going to be slowed up by that? Here comes Sabelski looking for the B class lead.
Oh my goodness gracious. Oh, he locks up the right front tire. That's going to give him a little bit of a move. He can go ahead and try and make that move. Oh, can he get the position? Let's see. This is going to be incredible going into the other side of the infield. This is going to be a place where you can either bump him, turn him, do whatever you want to do, but just try and keep it clean.
It is worth mentioning Matt Danson has crossed the line, and he will win in the A-Class. Liam Sheen will finish up in second. Right now, Gibson and Weitendorf side by side. Gibson's going to get the best of that and get third, and actually Weitendorf's going to lose 2 spots, so shuffle him back to fifth. But this is for the B-Class win as they're wrecking across the line. Matt Taylor off the left corner. Oh, he slides. Here comes Sabelski up the inside in turn 3. He's going to go to the bottom, and Taylor may have just spun his way out of the B-Class lead. Sabelski is going to win the B-Class in a thrilling finish on the last corner, and David Grantham right behind them is going to win in the C-Class.
Oh my goodness. What were we just talking about, Josh? We were talking about getting back onto the NASCAR oval, and that was the entire difference for Matt Taylor and Brian Sabelski. Sabelski didn't spin the tires coming back on. Taylor did. And Sabelski is able to take advantage. That was a great race in all 3 classes.
What a finish for B class. Who would have thought the B class would be the finish that would just keep us on edge all the way to the end? What an incredible move by Brian Sabelski to keep the car in position to capitalize on Matt Taylor burning those tires up. You just had to be there at the right time just to get that 0.2 of a mistake and capitalize, and he did exactly what he needed to do.
Now, remember, Matt Taylor started this run at the front of the field. He took the track position on slightly older tires, and perhaps that was the consequence of doing that. But you see Matt Danson, who really, I think, guys, was the most dominant car that we saw here today. He obviously gets it done in the A-Class, but this is what I love about multi-class racing. We get to celebrate a couple of different winners out here. You have him, you have Brian Sabelski, and, of course, you have David Grantham, who did well jobs of their own and vehicles that are a little bit slower, and they're all celebrated here in a crazy finish.
Unbelievable. So we'll go over a brief rundown of the finishers before we get a chance to talk to our winners here. So overall, there you see Matt Danson, Liam Sheen, James Gibson, the podium overall. As we see John Weitendorf, Chris Hennion is able to fight back into the top 10 after having a couple difficulties early on. Brian Sabelski, Matt Taylor are a great finish to the B-Class overall. David Schildhaus eggs out of top 10. And how about the overall winner in C-Class? David Grantham will get himself an overall top 10.
A nice job there. 11th and 2nd in class to Brandon Pinetto. Of course, you have Harry Grendel right behind them. He earns a podium in the B class. He's 12th overall. Caleb Brees in 13th. 14th to Riley Dunn. A nice job. He gets 4th in class. Gary Weaver finishes in 15th. 16th to Ben McDonald. 17th, Larry Orn. 18th, but 5th overall in class was Travis Scrumetta, who had a spill earlier. Joseph Selby, 19th. 20th, Philip Bupp. He rounds out the top 20. And the last car on the lead lap.
21st goes to DG Swiss. 22nd, Dustin Ping. 23rd, Jeremy Barut. And then 24th, Justin Bolillo coming out here having a good time. Happy to have Justin out here. 25th, Billy Davison. 26th, Vinny McDonald, 2 laps down. 27th, Stacy Hunter. 28th, Arthur Reimer. 29th, Brendan Watkins. 30th, Tyler Stillwell.
And we'll go down the rest here. 31st, Joshua Chin, 8th in class. 32nd, Michael Gonzalez. All these guys did not finish the race. Lucas Cram, Matt Busa, Cole Woody, and Thomas Fensler all did not finish the race. But look at this at the start-finish line. If we can, guys, all 3 winners have lined up. That is a cool picture to see. So we'll be sure to definitely get something on that. But excellent race overall, guys. I would say the first race of the season has been a success.
Yeah, absolutely. We see them go and start burning out side by side. Normally we only see this at championship races. They're having a good time, enjoying their burnouts and stuff like that. We're going to have them in the Discord. What are your guys' overall thoughts?
I mean, for me, I thought it was we have, usually when we do broadcasts, of course, it's just one race, but this one is multiple races. I kind of feel for our producer, Zach Johnson. He had to kind of shuffle in between battles a lot in the last lap, but he did a good job keeping up with that. But man, it's tough on us. We got to be paying really close attention to all these battles here. You never know when a race between, Brian Sabelski, Matt Taylor, a type of race like that could pop up. But overall, I thought it was an excellent race, and I'm excited for the next one. Off to a good start, I would say, with this.
Absolutely, and it's been incredible. That finish, all of that. Maybe we should go ahead and bring on in one of our winners here. How about we talk to the 6-car? Actually, sorry, I apologize. We seem to have lost him. Let's see, who can we bring in here? Brian Zabelski. How about that? Our winner. We'll bring him in.
Our B-class winner, Brian Sabelski. Brian, last lap pass, literally coming out of the final corner, and you got it done. Tell us how you're able to kind of keep your calm, keep the tires under it, chase Matt Taylor down, and win in B-class tonight.
Really just saving tires that whole second run. That's all I was kind of focused on doing. I knew that the tires were kind of burning up in the back, so I figured if I saved tires enough that I'd be able to catch them up quickly enough. They were going to be racing pretty hard, trying to get through all of the traffic that was up there. So just a lot of patience, just being careful, just being smart about it, not overdriving the car, especially going into the infield there, the turn 3 in the infield. A lot of people were just overdriving there all night long. So I knew as long as I didn't lock up and send it, that I'd be okay, even if I lost a 10th here or there.
Definitely. We were talking about pretty much the entire race of how important tires were. So was that your strategy coming in to kind of maybe try to conserve as much as you can to start off and then go as late as you can and try to avoid all the trouble that could come along with it?
Yeah, that's pretty much the strategy, Sean. I was just looking for opportunities. I knew Matt was ridiculously fast, and on the restart there through the competition caution, Harry got by me, and I know Harry. I've raced him for quite a while, and he and I have a little bit of a friendly rivalry in some other series. I know that sometimes he told me as much after the race too, that he still learned to get those tire savings done quite right. So I figured if I could just hold on and just kind of slowly reel everybody in here, let the traffic kind of do its thing, I knew I had a shot to get it.
Well, nonetheless, you start the season off with a bang and probably provide one of the more exciting last lap finishes that we'll see in a while here. So, Brian, excellent job tonight. Great work overall. And thanks for that moment. That was a great job. And any shout outs you want to give before we let you go celebrate?
Just want to shout out everybody in ASRC, CMS, the eSpeed Racing League. They've all helped me out with my oval driving and my road driving with these cars. This is actually the first time I've run Xfinity cars kind of in an official race for like this. I've done some practice at Road America and did some practice earlier this week, but I normally run trucks in ARCA, so Sean, I've raced you a couple times in ARCA, Sean. But I just want to give all of them a shout out. Everyone who's watching on my Twitch stream right now, much appreciated. Glad to have you all here, and thanks for putting this on.
Brian, awesome job, man. Pleasure to watch that battle. Go ahead and celebrate it, man. Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Brian Sabelski. Josh, I believe we're going to send old David Grantham up here, winner for C-Class here. You caught up with him?
I had my mic muted. I'm sorry about that. David, congratulations on winning the C-Class. You absolutely dominated out there today. What did you have that nobody else seemed to find? David, you got us?
I think a microphone is the only thing we haven't found for him yet so far.
Both of us probably had our microphones muted. We'll go ahead, if we don't hear from David here in a second, we'll go ahead and move on over to Blake, who I believe has Matt dancing.
Let's hope. Hopefully his mic is working. Hopefully my internet holds up the whole interview. We've seen that be an issue as well. Let's try Matt. Matt, you got us?
Yes, I do.
All right.
Awesome. There we go. All right, Matt Danson, your winner tonight overall and in the A class. Matt, tell us about what the process was like learning this racetrack, or even if you had run on this track at all before preparing for this event tonight.
I had not. This is the first time I'd seen the track. So it's, what time is it for us here?
Good morning, by the morning.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I was up till a ridiculous hour. I think I went to bed at like 6 a.m. So I got 2 hours. My alarm went off at 8, which like just when the server opened, and I snoozed that for as long as I could, and then eventually got in, and I felt like I was on another planet. I was, and not in a good way. And then slowly but surely got my head around what was going on and what day it was and everything. And then, I don't know, it just kind of came to me. I think because it was such a big, like, tire wear situation, like the drop off was massive. I think that just sort of played into my deal.
Yeah, it was really hot. We saw the track temperature, I think by the end, it climbed to about 138 degrees. So it was a big issue there. Obviously, tire wear being very important. But tell us about this win and obviously perhaps what your prospects are looking forward for what you think these next couple of races are going to be at what I'm sure are some other tracks that maybe you haven't seen before.
Yeah, I think we've got Indy Road is probably one of the only tracks that I've driven on in this. Hopefully we are actually going there. I'm not just making that up, but yeah, I guess it's just going to be a matter of trying to learn on the fly, which is probably the same case for everyone, I would assume. But I mean, if they're like this through the rest of the season, as far as just trying to tire manage and just keep that momentum sort of going, that would be happy days for me. We had boosts, so we had Gonzo and Liam. He's really fast, so it could be anyone each week. And if Casey turns up, that's a different kettle of fish as well. I would have spanked him, I'm sure, but we'll see what happens.
Of course, man. Well, congratulations again, an inaugural win. You're the first ever winner in the eRacr Roval Racing Series. Congratulations on conquering the ERS before anybody else.
Yeah, it's huge. I guess shout out to the team, Logitech GL to C Sports. They got another big dub overnight as well, winning the SCO. I think it was a Sprint Masters or something. It's pretty big. But obviously all the partners, Virtual Racing School, Logitech, Astro, Cube Controls, Racetech Seats, and Own Live. And thanks of course eRacr for putting this on. You guys, I look forward to listening to your beautiful voices and getting some sleep.
All righty, Matt. Well, we appreciate you stopping by. And, of course, congratulations on your win. We'll try this one more time. Josh Mendoza, David Grantham, winner of the C-Class. Do we got you, David?
Yes, I think so this time.
All right.
Awesome. Glad to have you here, David. So I was originally going to ask you, you seem to be out there. You seem to be dominating this C-Class. What do you have that everybody out there can't seem to find?
Apparently, I'm some sort of a newfound road racer when I was abysmal at this a year ago when I got back into started iRacing after all those years of NR 2003 and just putting up with road courses. So just a fair amount of practice. And track like this, there's no markers, so you just got to get into a rhythm. And I blew my qualifying lap and still managed a decent time just by hitting all the other marks or all the other rhythm points. But when I got into race mode, it was just get the butterflies out and get down to business.
That's awesome. Well, you performed on every level today. You finished first. You got the fastest lap of your class, so that's going to be another bonus point. 26 points going out of the first race of the season. What track are you looking forward to in the rest of the season? What do you think you're going to go out there and dominate next?
I don't know. Next week's Pocono, so I imagine a lot of us are going to be trying not to mow the grass through the infield S's there. But in a weird, sadistic way, I think I'm kind of looking forward to that one a little bit because I guess that's the next nearest home track. Texas is a home track from where I was born in Amarillo. Pocono is one of the nearer ones to New York City. And yeah, we'll see. But if all of them are kind of like this, no matter how my race goes, this has just been an absolute blast, guys, and I appreciate everything you all do for sim racing.
Well, we appreciate you being out here. Do you have anybody to thank for your performance today?
Yeah, I mean, my wife for letting me do this. Well, not just my wife, my smoking hot wife. She's got the kids in the other room, and she's like, "Now don't mess with Daddy." You know, he's racing. You know, and my truck supports her business, which she wrote a book about for targeted towards kindergarten through fifth graders about people with those non-obvious sorts of like disabilities, like type 1 diabetes. So you can go to Amazon Kindle and look up Wonder Chuck, the amazing diabetic alert dog there for $3.99, or if you have Amazon Kindle Unlimited, it's free.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you coming out here, David. We'll see you next week.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Josh.
Thanks.
Well, what an awesome plug right there. We get even children's books. There were a lot of unexpected things tonight, but a plug for a children's book I didn't really think was in the cards. But Sean, I'll turn to you first, which first off, I love I get to do this Brady Bunch thing, so I get to look at you, Sean. But first off, I mean, I think we weren't really sure what to expect, for better or for worse. We didn't know if this idea was going to work or not. I'd say this idea works pretty well, at least at this Texas track, because that was a heck of a show.
We're off to a great start, as I've said ad nauseum already. But man, what an exciting race! I mean, that halfway caution really kind of provides a good little curveball for these guys. A lot bigger one than we kind of expected. You'll have guys pitting way before it to try to get the advantage, and guys pitting right at it, making their way through the field. So this was a great one. This track had a lot of great passing zones. It was a little compact place, but the racing was awesome. Great battles all around, and a classic finish already. It's going to be hard to top the finish we had for the B class overall win tonight. But we got plenty more time. Hopefully we can recreate more moments like that. I'm excited to see what comes next.
Absolutely. So I think we have a long list of tracks that makes that a lot easier. But Josh, you know, as somebody who was pretty instrumental in putting on this series, what are your impressions of what we saw tonight? We know eRacr likes to go big when they put things on, and I think this was a different twist on it. But what's kind of your initial impressions of what we just saw?
What a badass finish. That's all I got to say. What a badass finish. This was everything I wanted it to be. It was incredible. It was awesome. I'm so happy that not only did it perform, it was interesting and it was exciting. And I hope maybe, just maybe, this might get to NASCAR one day, and maybe they might say, you know what, let's make that Clash at the beginning of the year a multi-class race at the Daytona Road Course. I think that would be incredible. But overall, I'm just excited. I'm really pumped to see what the next 5 weeks has in store. We have a championship battle to follow along. We have people like Casey Kerwin, who had to take their drop week this week already, now has to be on the front of that and getting wins after wins if they want to go ahead and stay in this championship. But I'm most importantly looking to see who can stay consistent. You had a lot of people who had great finishes tonight. Is that a one-off finish? Is it is this going to be a consistent thing for them? We don't know yet. And that's what we're going to find out here over the next 5 weeks. And it's going to tell us a big story going into next week at Pocono.
Absolutely. I think when you think about everything we got going on here, it's the level of difficulty in these tracks. They're all different. And as you've heard from many of these drivers at a lot of places that they haven't run before. Even Matt Danson, our winner tonight, had never run at this racetrack, and I think that's something you're going to hear. It's going to be quite a theme moving forward over these next couple of weeks. And as Josh just mentioned, we will be at Pocono next week. We will be running the Pocono Road Course, and that is something you won't want to miss because, frankly, Sean, I don't think any of our audience really knows. I'm not even really caught up on exactly what the layout is there at Pocono, but it's going to be great. It's going to be fun, and I think we've seen that this concept, as far as putting on a show, can certainly work. But that will do it for us from the Texas Motor Speedway. Of course, keep up with everything going on with eRacr Socials. You can follow us on at eRacr on Twitter, and of course, any other platform you could think of. Of course, right here, we're on Twitch, eRacr_.gg. If you're not following us yet, go ahead and click that follow button so that you won't miss this event or any other conclusive events next week. So from our broadcast partners, Sean Butler and Josh Mendoza, I am Blake McCandless saying so long tonight from Texas Motor Speedway, where we bid farewell, and congratulations to 3 of our winners tonight. Matt Danson in the Cup Series cars. You see right there on your screen, Brian Sabelski and David Grantham. We'll be back next week for some more exciting action. We'll be sure to see you there. Good evening, everyone.